Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is James Cannon, who won his promotional debut on Dirty Boxing Championship 3. Hello, James. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, dude. How you doing?
I'm good. And of course, your last bout was quite a big one. It was your Dirty Boxing debut. But of course, you had a really big name in front of you because
Yeah.
Hector Lombard was a former Bellator champion. So if you can tell me, when did you find out about this opportunity?
I feel it was like 4 weeks before I got his name as like an option. They think they gave me a couple dudes at different weight classes, and they told me Hector at 205, and I was like, that sounds like a good time.
And probably his name was like the biggest one.
Yeah, yeah, by far. Yeah, well, 100%. He was. I couldn't believe it actually. It was kind of like, what? No way. Like, what? There's no way that they were calling me for Hector. But I mean, I'm assuming a couple guys turned it down.
And of course, he is a super accomplished fighter. And at that point, when you found out about this fight, were there like any doubts about taking this, or you thought that this is just your chance to like put your name?
No, there was no doubt at all. 100%. I was gonna, as soon as I saw his name, I was like, yes, for sure. I wanted to fight for Dirty Boxing for a long time though. And I've been in contact with them since before their first show. I was just like, if somebody pulls out, a lot of guys pull out. They say they want to fight, but they get injured or whatever. But I knew that eventually they would need somebody who's gonna throw down and actually put on a good show. And so I just kept putting my name out there, and I finally got Hector Lombard back, and I was like, "Oh, co-main event, Hector Lombard! Like, there's nothing to think about. This is 100%."
And of course, he's on the like
Yeah,
definitely older side of his career. But in the end of the day, like 3 or 4 years ago, he was a BKFC champion. So he's not that he's like that his prime was like 15 years ago or 20 years ago.
yeah,
Just a few years ago, he was like beating good fighters in BKFC.
yeah. He was a bare knuckle. Yeah, he was a bare knuckle boxer. So, and it wasn't like this is like an MMA fight or so. I didn't really worry about his judo or anything. But his age, I thought it was like the perfect time to fight him. I was like, it would be gnarly to fight him when he was my age. It'd be crazy. That'd be like otherworldly. He was like world class. But at this age, I mean, the power is the last thing to go. So I knew that he could knock people out. And but I watched a lot of his BKFC fights, and it's a lot of those dudes are saying, oh, he's over the hill, but it's like you guys were just fighting him a couple years ago. He was a champ holding the belt. So it's wild. It's pretty wild. Things change quickly though in MMA, and it is like a young dude sport. So with all combat sports,
And of
you know.
course, like in MMA, you are a finisher. You finish all of your wins. So probably
Yeah.
for you, it wasn't like big surprise that you can surprise him in the first round.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my style is I start the fight really really aggressively and kind of put the fighter on their heels and make them having to react instead of being able to like stick to their game plan. And with Hector, he's a slow starter. He was saying like I'm gonna knock him out first round, but Hector really doesn't. He's not like maybe late in the first round, but he's not like a really fast starter. He doesn't just bomb right away. So I knew that if I can get him trying to like react and make him be on his back foot and be countering, and that's exactly what happened. He was trying to counter me the whole time. But the speed, I knew that I was gonna have the advantage. So I wanted to put it on him right away and the pace. I knew I had him in the cardio. If anything, he hits hard, or they say he hits harder than me, but I mean, it's clear that he doesn't now.
And of course, it's like a super big win for you. So the question is,
Yeah.
what should be next for now? Because I think that it is the biggest win of your career. You are on a quite on the rise, let's say. So
Yeah.
what would you see for yourself in the future?
I mean, I'm hoping to keep doing dirty boxing. I have this thing with my fights where I do really good, and then I'll take a fight on short notice. So I just want to get back in there. Really, I like to stay having a fight lined up, and I think this is the point where I kind of slow things down and just see what dirty boxing offers me. I'm getting a lot of offers for other organizations, but I don't think I really want to do MMA right away. I think I'm cool with just boxing for a little while and seeing how it goes.
And I thought maybe like Yoel Romero would be like another good opponent for you because of course he's like also a little bit older, but he's
Yeah.
still Yoel Romero, and you beat
Yeah.
former champion, so maybe this is a fight.
And they're both Cuban, so I'm like, I'm gonna be the enemy number one if that happens. I'm sure no one's gonna be liking me in Florida, but Yellow Romero would be cool. I mean, the paycheck would be there, I'm sure. I would do anything for a lot of money. I'm sure I'd fight anyone, but for that name alone would be crazy too to just fight Yellow Romero. And he's also a really slow kind of starter. In the last Dirty Boxing match, he went like 3 rounds with that guy. So I mean, but if we're fighting Yellow Romero, I need to know ahead of time. You know what I mean? We need to have we're chasing things around. You know what I mean?
But also you fought this year also in MMA. You won in the first round.
Yeah.
So you are on the even like bigger streak right now because it was also a really good win over a good fighter.
Yeah, I think Brandon Nunn, he's also a good guy. He's a cool guy. I met him I talked to him after the fight before the fight. So that's always cool to get in there and throw down with a good dude. And he bangs. He always likes to look for a finish too, so it was fun. And that one I just leg kicked him. I mean, I literally like that would if I wouldn't have got on top of him when he fell, I could have TKO'd him with leg kicks on that one. So with dirty boxing, I'm like, I don't get the kick. I really like kicking. Um, but in MMA, you always have to risk that takedown, and that's where I've been losing a lot of recent fights. When you get to a certain level of MMA, the grappling's so high. It's like, and the guys dive on that. When as soon as they get hurt, as soon as you touch them with any type of power, guys are trying to take you down. And it doesn't really come down to putting on a show at that point. They're really just trying to get the win and get out of there safely. So that's why I like dirty boxing. I kind of want to stay doing it for a little while at least, or get some boxing matches. Like get into like that influencer boxing space. I feel like there's like low risk fights, really entertaining, and then the pay's there too. So there's no reason to like, at least at the age I am, or I feel like I am, to be fighting dudes who are super tough for like a grand in a high school gymnasium. You know what I mean? Like it's just at that point, I'm like, I think I'm a little too old for that now. So try to make something happen.
And I think that it is great that of course we have MMA, but we have also some of the other options like BKFC, dirty boxing, this like influencer boxing. So maybe you don't need to go to the UFC to earn really good money.
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm at. Hopefully, that's what I really want to do. I mean, the UFC is kind of just like everyone wants to go there to say they find the UFC and the name value. But if the pay's not there, the pay's not there, and the tough fights are there. You're not getting any easy fights in the UFC. You're just gonna have to be willing to fight everyone and the best in the world, guys that have no name you never heard of, and these guys are amazing. And you need to be ready to fight them on the drop of a dime. That's the only way to make in the UFC is like you got to be willing to throw down every month if they give you a call. And as soon as you say no, you're setting yourself up to get beat by someone who's a monster. And then all these influencer fights that are going on, like these guys just don't know what they're getting into. And it's like if you're gonna tell me you go fight some guy who's been boxing for 3 years, it's like, oh, that's the easiest fight of my life. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be the easiest thing I've ever done. So yeah, yes, I'm gonna fight the guy who's been training for 3 years. Easy work.
And actually, at one point of your career, you were 7-2 with a four fights winning streak. And at that
Yeah.
point, was it like maybe like UFC or Bellator rumors that they want
Yeah.
to have you there?
Yeah, I mean, I was heavyweight. I was a big dude. I have 5 fight win streak at heavyweight. Like I never ended up losing at heavyweight. I had to go down, just because those guys were so huge. But the risks are really high at heavyweight. You get hit once and it's over. So with these lower weights, these guys can hit me and it's like, it's not really that big of a deal. I could take a couple shots from a 185 pounder, from a 205 pounder system. It's a different level of power there. And but at heavyweight, the guys were slower, so I can get to my takedowns easier. I was just quicker than them. So the fights were easier in a different way. Um, Sometimes I think about like maybe if I wouldn't have gone down, if I would have worked on putting on muscle and staying at heavyweight, I probably would have been at those shows, at the higher level. But I had like a lot of things going on in my personal life, and then I've always had like a full-time job and a career at this point. So it just like went a different route, and that's why I kind of see like the dirty boxing as like kind of like a new start, like a fresh start. I want to know, you know what I mean? I get a new record, so it's all good. I want to know at boxing. Let's move on to the next phase.
And I think that in dirty boxing is like very, let's say, very specific sports. So maybe I really hope that in a few years it will be like much bigger. That it will be not just 5 or 10 shows, but it will be like 50 or even more. That it will be like real option for the fighters, like young
Yeah.
fighters or even like the older fighters, and it will be like another place to earn money.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, it'd be cool because at that point I'd be like one of the starting dudes. I mean, this is a third show. So if they keep going on, UFC 200, what are they at? 300 now almost, so it's like to see dirty boxing get that far, it'd be cool to be on one of the first shows, and I co-main evented it against like a vet. So I mean, that could be a big part of history. And then also like seeing the younger dudes like just focus on dirty boxing, as coming up. That would be cool to see the techniques that they do because when guys started really focusing on MMA, you got to see these really crazy cool techniques that or styles that you never would have seen before. At the beginning, so it'd be cool to be on the ground floor or something like that. And I'm 30, so I got with dirty boxing, I'm cool to do this for another 10, another 10 years, and then you kind of just call it what it is at that point. But so I'm ready to go. I'm ready to carry the organization and keep putting on really quick, entertaining fights like that. I'm hoping to be on every show and slide myself into a couple different title fights. It'd be fun to go down to 185 for our next fight. I feel like I'm in better shape at 185, at middleweight. And I think the guys there, again, it's like a little bit less pressure when I get hit. The cardio is better, but I'll be in better shape too. And then capture that 185 pound, move up to a 205 pounder, be a double champ in dirty boxing. There's space to be the first guy to do something cool like that in this organization. So it'd be cool to be the first double champ of dirty boxing, something fun like that.
And in the end they can like bring really good names, even like
Yeah.
Jarzinho is like also one of the main guys right now. so
Yeah.
so so if you are in the dirty boxing, I think that you can fight like against UFC veteran, or like some other big names, of course, like Hector.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Even they had Brandon Battle on the last show. He's now with the PFL, but it's like that would have been crazy as hell, dude. One at 185 to fight Brian Battle, that'd been insane. And then if you can go in there and throw down with Brian Battle or some dudes like that, you hit another level of class where people see you at that level of competition, as a pro athlete. So it'd be cool. I'd be down to throw down with any ex UFC fighters they can get a hold of. Any guys that around my even Phil Haas is a UFC fighter. I think he's in there. Um, so it'd be sick. Yeah, it'd be cool to throw down with some guys with some big names just to show like, hey, look, I got striking to be world class.
And right now, so it's around 3 weeks after your fight, are you in some kind of training?
I like to take it easy right after the fight. So I've been go back and coach a little bit, just be moving around with the guys, show up to some sparrings just to stay sharp, in case something big did show up. But at this point, I'm just at home with the family, trying to spend like as much time as I can. I still have a full-time job, so I work all the time. And then as soon as I get off work, I'm at home trying to invest that time with the family so that when I do have a fight come up, as soon as the paper's signed, I can get straight to work, and then they don't feel like they're missing out on too much time.
And it's probably really hard to do all of these things, right? Training and at really high level, of course, working, family. So it's a lot things to handle.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely like a balancing act. You know what I mean? You got to just be able to balance it all. And I'm sure there's like in the past there's fights that I didn't perform as well because I couldn't train as much as like a full-time fighter because you kind of have to break through like fight you kind of have to fight a guy who just trains full-time, beat him so you can become one of those guys that can just fight full-time, and you have to earn that name, or even when you get in the UFC you're only making 15 and 15, you got to be starting to beat these guys and still have a job. And then once you can transition over, and I never made that leap, so I just kept having a job, which I mean, like, I am in a kind of a better position in life than a lot of fighters. A lot of fighters that didn't make it, you don't have a home, they're struggling. And it's like I'm able to have investments and kind of live a nicer lifestyle and take care of my family because I didn't just put all my eggs in one basket. So I mean, there's just like what you got, it's a balancing act. You got to pick what are you going to do. There's guys that live in the gym, and I respect that fully. You gotta do what you gotta do, but there's life beyond fighting. And I'm a father. You know what I mean? I take my family seriously, and so I don't have no regrets. It's just I know when I gotta be home, and then when I put that time in, they're okay with me putting the time into fighting because I'm when I'm home, I'm present, you know. That always helps.
Okay, James. So many
Yeah.
thanks for the time and for conversation. I hope
Yeah.
that your next fight will be, of course, with Dirty Boxing, but I really hope that it can be like Yoel Romero, and if not, maybe some really another really big UFC veteran.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you so much for your time too. It was great talking to you. And let me know if you ever want to converse about the next one. I'll let you know as soon as I got something signed so we can talk about them.